Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North on the programme tonight. Calls for more help for shopping addicts as one West Yorkshire woman admits to spending £700 a week on clothes.
It was the first thing I would think about when I woke up. No matter what time of day or night that was, it was generally any time that I had access to be on my phone, I would be looking for something to buy.
We ask an expert what help is available. Also tonight, a 19-year-old soldier has died during a training session at Catterick Garrison after joining the army just 3 months ago. Sheffield Wednesday's players are told wages will be delayed for a third successive month. Meanwhile, a new bill to establish an independent football regulator has become law. The train driver and his wife, brought together by a trackside trauma, has inspired a new song.
And it's been another day of variable amounts of cloud and some sunshine, and that's illustrated very nicely with this picture from South Milford. Don't forget to join me for the detailed forecast coming up shortly.
Hello there, good evening. We're going to start tonight talking about shopping. A day of retail therapy can be just the ticket for some people to help them feel better about themselves. But what happens when you just can't stop shopping? Two women from Yorkshire have shared their stories of addiction with us. They've both spent thousands of pounds feeding their habits. And now there are calls for better understanding of the condition and for more support from the NHS. Nia Price reports.
So this is the main room in my flat where I keep everything. I would say there's probably over 500 items in here, including all the shoes.
Lucy has no idea how many clothes she owns, but they take up this entire room in her flat in West Yorkshire, several suitcases and a storage unit.
Wearing clothes acted as like an armour. It was my medicine to not feel the feelings that I did feel in real life.
She says at one time she could spend £700 in a week, contributing to £12,000 worth of debt.
It was the first thing I would think about when I woke up. No matter what time of day or night that was, it was generally any time that I had access to be on my phone, I would be looking for something to buy.
It wasn't until she had therapy with the NHS that she realised it was even possible to be addicted to shopping.
That recognition of it being an addiction and it being applicable to me was a bit of a penny drop moment.
Currently no one can be officially diagnosed with shopping addiction or oniomania, so there's little support available on the NHS.
The resources are currently lacking, and in terms of the research and the understanding of oniomania, that's just not there in the same way that addiction to substance is.
Lucy says her addiction has improved, but it's had a massive impact on her life.
It's like a physical and an emotional drowning because you don't know how to stop it.
This is cupboard of doom, so this is part of it.
In Rotherham, Natalie says she owns over 10,000 household items, including 3,000 washing pods.
I used to spend £1,000 to £3,000 a month, depending on what I bought. If it was shoes, it'd be more.
She had therapy with the NHS and privately, but feels it was not successful as she's not yet ready to stop buying.
I can't stop, and I don't want to stop neither. Having a shopping addiction is absolutely horrendous.
She says she has around 400 perfumes in this room and that more help should be available to people who want it.
100% shopping addiction should be taken more serious because, as I stated before, and I'll state to anyone, an addiction is an addiction, whether it's doing illegal drugs or going out and shopping. People's buying alcohol, drugs to feed their addiction. People like me buy toiletries and shoes to feed my addiction. So I think every addiction should be treated the same.
It's not officially recognised yet. Let's hope that changes. I think behavioural addictions need to be recognised. Anything can become addictive, but we need to learn different coping strategies, but we can only learn different coping strategies when it's recognised as a problem, and it's only recognised as a problem when it's made official.
An NHS spokesperson said their talking therapies provide treatment for a range of conditions and encourage those who are struggling with obsessions and compulsions to reach out to their GP or self-refer via their website. Both women hope that sharing their stories can help people better understand life with a shopping addiction. Nia Price, BBC Look North.
It's a real eye-opener, that, isn't it? I'm joined tonight by Ian Hamilton, Professor of Addiction at the University of York. A shopping addiction, often known as oniomania. Why is it not recognised as a real addiction, as we just heard there, like alcohol or drugs or gambling?
I think it will be, Amy, probably within a couple of years, but at the moment there's a bit of disagreement about whether it is a formalised addiction. So the two main classification indices that we use in psychiatry to assess someone and diagnose someone don't currently recognise compulsive buying as an addiction. That's not to say it isn't, it's just not recognised formally by those main indices. How
common is it? Have you come across this?
I have, and you know, from the research that we have, it has to be said there isn't a huge amount of research, but from the research that there is, it can be anywhere from 2 in 100 to up to 30 in 100, depending on the location. And there seems to be a sort of settling within the research to say it's roughly about 1 in 10 people, 1 in 10 adults, sorry, would run up against this as a problem.
And what can cause this sort of addiction?
Well, I think there's going to be a variety of things, isn't there? Some people are going to feel a bit vulnerable in some ways, so they may be bored, isolated, looking for a bit of fun, almost accidentally slip into it, as you can do with almost any addiction, really. But I think the other part of this is the industry isn't innocent in all this. I think, you know, this is a huge industry, retail, online and in person, but particularly online, and they use strategies that are cleverly seductive. So they you know, they're a business, they want to make money, they want people to buy things. But for those that are vulnerable, I think this isn't something that the industry is ignorant of. I think they're aware that there are some people who are buying more than they should and buying in a compulsive way. But for you and I, there's also strategies that are used to, as I say, seduce us and make sure that we keep buying and keep coming back to products.
Especially with online shopping. So if you think that someone might have this, what are the telltale signs?
Well, I think quite often it's the absence of something that indicates there's a problem. So, for instance, you run out of money, or, I don't know, your internet connection fails, or whatever it is. How do you feel? How do you behave? What are you thinking? And if you begin to experience anything negative in that way, so if you find you're preoccupied by buying when you can't, or you feel anxious and those kind of things, I think that would be a really good, and also the very obvious one is you're spending too much. If you're looking at your account and think, crumbs, how have I spent that much in the last week? That would be an obvious sign that there's perhaps a problem and you need to seek help.
Okay, and that help would be go to your GP?
It would in the first instance. I mean, I think there are some good online resources as well. You know, the NHS website is good on this. But yes, to seek face-to-face help, there is some really good treatments available, so people shouldn't lose hope and seek treatment.
Ian, thanks so much for coming in. Next tonight, a man has appeared in court this morning charged with the murder of a woman in West Yorkshire. 21-year-old Courtney Angus from Dewsbury was found at a house in Norfolk Street in Batley on Saturday. Michael Doherty, who police previously named as Michael Moore, appeared at Leeds Magistrates Court. The 37-year-old has also been charged with possession of a bladed article, a fray and threatening 2 police officers with a bladed article in a public space. The inquest into the murder of a woman in Bradford who was murdered by her husband as she pushed their baby in a pram has opened and adjourned until January. Kulsuma Akhtar was 27. She was stabbed to death by Habiba Massam in the city centre last year. The coroner says they're waiting for a report which aims to identify lessons learned, and improve the response to domestic abuse. A car has crashed through a first-storey opening in a Leeds city centre car park. Emergency services are at the scene at the NCP, the Markets car park on New Street, with the vehicle's front end still dangling from the bay. Goodness me, look at that. One person has injuries that are not thought to be life-threatening. West Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service say 3 crews were called out at 4:15 this afternoon. A soldier has died at Catterick Garrison after what the Army described as a physical training session. Private Harry Johnson, who was just 19 and from Doncaster, joined the Army in April and had just completed his basic training. His death has been referred to the North Yorkshire coroner. Jim Scott reports.
Well, tributes have been paid today by the British Army towards a man who was described as having enormous potential and was becoming one of Britain's finest soldiers. 19-year-old Private Harry Johnson from Doncaster in South Yorkshire had only recently joined the 2nd Infantry Training Battalion here in Catterick Garrison in April. Last week, it was following a training exercise that he died. It's not yet known what the circumstances were. Now, tributes have today been paid by Lieutenant Colonel Ben Jesty, who is the commanding officer of the 2nd Infantry Training Battalion, and he says that everybody was heartbroken by the loss of Private Johnson and that he was a proud and passionate future paratrooper and he represented the best of his generation. And although early in his career he had already shown significant potential. Well, other colleagues who also worked with Private Johnson paid tribute, with one saying that he was top of his platoon because of his physical fitness. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Defence says that Private Johnson's death would be a tragic blow to those who worked with him, but also, more importantly, his family. Well, North Yorkshire County Council have confirmed that they've received a report of the death and that the case will be investigated by the coroner. Jim Scott, BBC Look North, Catterick Garrison.
We're going to look at football now. There's more worrying news from Hillsborough tonight, just a day after their manager left the club. Sheffield Wednesday's players have been told their wages will be delayed again for a 3rd successive month. Meanwhile, in the wider football community, a new bill to establish an independent football regulator has been hailed an historic moment after becoming law. The regulator will bring in stricter tests for potential club owners and give fans more of a say in their club's future. Our political editor James Vincent has been speaking to the Sports Minister, and if you're a football fan, you might recognise some of these emotions.
Wrong team, wrong everything. Everything was just rubbish.
The pain of this sport is kind of what makes the good parts good.
Worst game I've seen them play all season.
I'm not entirely sure I believe myself there. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's really bad. But away from the actual football, you know, the stuff on the pitch, supporters are celebrating a win away at Westminster.
The King has signified his royal assent to the following acts. Football Governors Act 2025.
OK, that might be a bit much, but the government says that this new football regulator will be independent of government and also independent of the football authorities.
It will have powers on new financial regulations. There will be stronger tests for potential club owners, more power on money sharing between leagues and protection for club heritage.
It will put fans back at the heart of the game, having a meaningful say where clubs are obliged to meaningfully consult them. And when it comes to owners, they'll have to pass an owners and directors test, be a fit and proper owner and present a credible business plan.
It's important that fans know that their club is run in a good way, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what fans want. And that's what I've heard loud and clear from fans and indeed from clubs up and down the country. What the fit and proper owners test will do is when someone wants to come and buy a club, they will have to pass that fit and proper owners test. And the regulator will have statutory powers to investigate where, for example, the flow of money comes from.
Is it going to be strong enough, though? That's what fans will ask. Is it going to be strong enough to stop people coming into a football club and running it badly?
I'm confident that the regulator will have the powers it needs to check them when they want to come and buy a club, and then obviously if clubs are not being run correctly, the regulator can take interventionist action.
Fans at Sheffield Wednesday have welcomed the regulator. They want owner Dapon Chansiri to sell the club after staff and players went unpaid, and the North Stand faces closure for the start of the season.
As far as the regulator's concerned, I think it's a fantastic thing, because although it perhaps won't help Wednesday or it could overlap, that we don't want this to happen to anybody else. The Burys of this world, the Readings of this world, the Boltons of this world, Derbys of this world. We're all football fans. There'll be banter, there'll be stuff said, but really all we want to do is go to the game and enjoy the game and watch our team without the politics behind it.
We've approached Sheffield Wednesday for comment. With the regulator due to be set up later in the year, it's going to be interesting how the theory of how it will all work meets the reality of the football business world. James Vincent, BBC Look North.
Now, Neve from Huddersfield was just 13 years old and in her first week of high school when she suffered an unexpected bleed on her brain which led to a stroke. Months of rehab and speech therapy followed. But the thing that inspired her to relearn to walk and talk again, it was a new passion for farming. Our reporter Simon Thake has been to meet her.
Life on the farm. And these agricultural students from Barnsley College are being put through their paces. For 17-year-old Neve, it's a far cry from a few years earlier, when a sudden bleed on the brain led to a stroke at just 13 and having to relearn how to walk and talk.
The first word I spoke was mum, and it felt really happy. Obviously, I sounded different to before.
A rehab centre with a side in animal therapy proved a turning point in Neve's mental and physical recovery.
Obviously, I liked animals, but doesn't really find that interest with them. But after my stroke, I feel really calm around them, and yeah, it was like my therapy as well.
Okay, so just make sure it's safe for you to go in when... She started off really quite low confidence in abilities. She wasn't sure what she could do, what she couldn't do. She's not come from a farming background or anything practical animal based. She's proved to herself that she's capable of anything. She's not going to let her abilities or her limitations stop her from doing anything.
Oh look, she's just got a farmyard set there, look, we should have known then. The tractor and the cows.
Back at home in Huddersfield, Neve's parents have had to adjust to their daughter's new life.
The best advice we were given from specialists was kind of you've got to grieve the daughter that you had before you can accept the new daughter that you've got, which was extremely hard, but I think for me and for her dad, it was, we've still got her. She's still here. She might be different, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. So being able to see her grow and progress, and even though she is different, you know, she's still our Neve. So to be able to see her recover like that was unbelievable.
Whilst Neve could be forgiven for living her life day to day, in the moment, actually this is a teenager keen to make up for lost time and to look ahead.
I want my kids to grow up on a farm, and yeah, just really hope that happens. And drive a tractor, obviously.
Simon Thake, BBC Look North.
It's an incredible story, isn't it? And here is another one. A train driver from Bradford who rescued a suicidal woman beside the tracks has inspired a new folk song. Dave and Charlotte went on to marry, and the couple now live in Bradford with their 5 children. As part of a BBC Radio 2 folk music project, the couple's story has been written into lyrics created by Barnsley singer-songwriter Kate Rudsby. This next item does contain references to suicide, just as a warning. Heidi Tomlinson has more.
Family time for train driver Dave.
Ready, go!
Go! It was a trackside trauma that brought this couple together. Charlotte's mental health had hit rock bottom. Feeling suicidal, she headed for the railway line. A few seconds before Dave's train approached, he stopped at a signal.
At this point, I just felt that I needed to speak to this person, try and reason with them, talk to them, and just try and make them aware that there's something else other than this in life.
Dave was compelled to help because of 2 previous incidents when he was driving and couldn't stop.
I was met by a man who introduced himself and could not have been more compassionate with me. He just asked me if I was having a bad day, and there was no judgment, and we talked. He said, we'll sit here as long as it takes, you know, until you feel comfortable enough to get back on the train. He broke that crisis for me, and yeah, and I got to go home to my little boy and make him breakfast the next day because somebody took the time to sit with me.
Talking to Charlotte that fateful day led to a deep connection. They married a few years later and are now a happy family of 5.
Don't give up, it's not the end. Love is waiting round that bend.
Now, BBC Radio 2 is featuring their incredible story as part of a folk music week with songs inspired by 200 years of train travel.
Sometimes a heart it cracks and sometimes it tears. Oh, but hearts, they are like tracks, they tend to come in pairs.
Barnsley folk artist Kate Rusby has written a song about the Bradford couple's pivotal moment. It's called Light Beyond the Lines.
Charlotte and David's story was just unbelievable. It's like a movie. It dawned on me that the most important thing about the song is that human emotion, what somebody has been through, you know. So I tried to kind of document Charlotte's journey through it and how she was feeling at the start of it. What do you hear? You know, what's going on in your mind? Do you just hear your own heartbeat? Can you hear the train?
The words from Kate were just, they were immense. They just blew us away, didn't they?
Yeah, literally, yeah. Yeah, I was sold in the first few seconds when the guitar started, and then as soon as she started singing, yeah, I wasn't expecting to feel so emotional about it.
Push it very slowly.
Very slowly through the station.
6 years on, Charlotte and David don't dwell on the past, but value every day, describing life together as priceless. Heidi Tomlinson, BBC Look North.
Quite an incredible story, isn't it? And if you've been affected by any of the themes in tonight's programme and you do need support, then there's a list of organisations that can offer help and advice at bbc.co.uk/action line, or you can call for free to hear recorded information on 0800 066 066. Now, something completely different. Hold on to your rods, because we have got a real catch of the day coming up. At just 20 years old, he's already making waves across the angling world, smashing records and landing himself the title of the youngest ever champion of the UK's biggest fishing tournament, Fishomania. Now, that is the FA Cup of the fishing world. Bradley Lucas from North Yorkshire didn't just cast a line, he cast his name into the history books and netted a whopping 50 grand in prize money. This was his reaction when the news of his victory sunk in.
Bradley Lucas, here we go!
I think I'd react like that as well if I'd just won 50 grand. Earlier I spoke with Bradley and I asked him how he got into this whole fishing malarkey.
Started many years ago when I was very young, 6 or 7. Started to sea fish with my dad near Newcastle, Northumberland, and then did that for a few years. And then we sold where we used to live up there, stay up there. And then 10 years later or so, when I was 15, my dad was like, "Do you want to start going to? There's a pond near us. You know, we'll go there. We'll try that. Something different." I was like, "Yeah, sure." Got into that. Got into matches quite quickly. Got obsessed with it, and then been every other week since. Every week.
So you're only 20, you're now a professional angler.
Yeah.
Have you brought the age range right down?
Ideally, yeah, hopefully. That's the plan. But yeah, no, it's been amazing last few years, but yeah.
What is the average age of the people that you're competing against then?
The range is like 30 to 50 on average. You know, that's like, for example, the average age of professional anglers now, let's say, they're probably 35, 40. So it normally takes funding and then a lifestyle to almost get fixed in life, and then you can afford to start going. Luckily for me, I've managed to do it at such a young age. Now hopefully it will stay. And
now you've won like the FA equivalent of angling.
Yeah.
How did it feel when you were told that you were the winner?
Unreal, amazing. Obviously, I've watched it every year for years growing up as a kid, and it's just a dream come true. You sit there, and the only bad thing is when you're in the final, you don't get that buzz because you're facing the lake, you're not seeing the crowd behind you. But towards the end, it was starting to sink in, and then when I finally found out that you'd won, it was, yeah, amazing.
And it's 54 kilos worth of fish, which is my body weight in fish. What do you do with it afterwards?
They all go back, so they all get weighed in. So you get half-hour weigh-ins throughout the match, and then once the total's added up, you announce the winner. They all go into retainer nets throughout the match, so the fish don't go back into the lake. And then once the match is over with, they just all get tipped back, and everyone's a swimmer.
And you won 50 grand for this?
50,000.
So not just a trophy. What are you going to do with all that money at your age?
Try and be sensible and save the money, but yeah, I'm going to try and buy a van or maybe a nice car, treat myself.
What do you enjoy about fishing?
Just love it. I love the buzz for it. I think obviously when you grow up as a kid doing it, I think you love it for the sport it is. But now you get into matches and big finals, it's that buzz that you chase. You know, that feeling of having a chance to win £50,000 or the chance to be Fishmania champion. That's what keeps you going every year.
And where do you go from Fishmania?
Hopefully do it twice next year, hopefully.
Well, thanks so much for coming in and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You know, that's what I love about this programme. You learn something new every day. Fishmania, who knew that was the thing?
I'm not so sure about buzz. I sat with my mate years ago and he didn't have one nibble in 8 hours, and, you know, I don't quite get the excitement, but did you? I'm sure it's the most popular sport in England. I might be wrong.
I'm not going to quote you on that one.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Well,
anyway,
he obviously gets a buzz and 50 grand.
50 grand, fantastic. Brimham Rocks, look at that. A beautiful day to be climbing in that area up in Nidderdale. Very nice indeed. And the farmers are really getting going with the harvest, with the dry weather. It's obviously very early this year, but that was taken near Doncaster. So send your pictures in. The addresses are on your screen right now. So tomorrow, largely speaking, it is another fine day with variable cloud and some sunshine. This feature slipping to the south of us tonight. It leaves Thursday not bad, Friday just a few showers, and then the weekend still a strong signal that Saturday is the fine day with some sunshine. Sunday we'll see some rain spreading in from the west and again on Monday, but it looks like summer could well start to return again next week with temperatures on the rise once more. All a long way off, of course. There's a satellite picture. Just notice how the cloud that has built up this afternoon is now melting away. So most of us will be dry with some sunshine this evening. A hint of a few showers clipping into the west and south Yorkshire Pennines for a time tonight, and then it's dry and clear. We'll see temperatures coming in at around about 13 or 14 degrees. Tomorrow's high water times in Scarborough at 3 minutes past 9, Bridlington at around about 9:30. So a beautiful start in the morning. It's dry and bright. There'll be long spells of sunshine. As temperatures rise, we will see skies turning partly cloudy into the afternoon. A hint of 1 or 2 showers, but I think very much the exception to the rule. Most of us will stay fine, and there'll be further spells of sunshine into Thursday evening. Pleasantly warm, highs of 22, 23 degrees Celsius. Friday, sunny intervals, a few scattered showers. Fine on Saturday, some rain Sunday and again on Monday, but summer could well start to return next week. That's the forecast.
Looks like nice weather for fishing if you fancy it.
Yes, indeed. It's always nice weather for fishing.
Always. Well, that is it from us. I'm here with the late news again. Join me at 10:30. For now, bye-bye.